The Tea Biz Podcast delivers a recap of the week's major tea news headlines with commentary and cultural trends hosted by Dan Bolton. Tea Biz is the voice of origin for tea professionals and enthusiasts worldwide. Think of us as a digital caravan of storytellers, bringing authentic, authoritative, and exclusive stories to you weekly from the tea lands. The tea industry merits more nuanced coverage than a mere recitation of production volumes and commodity prices. Each week, Tea Biz reports news and features with the greatest impact on the tea industry. Pairing the Tea Biz podcast with the more inclusive Tea Biz blog, and Tea Journey magazine delivers information and insight. Hello, everyone. January is Hot Tea Month, and the Tea and Herbal Association of Canada invites you to explain why you drink tea to win a year's supply. Here are this week's headlines. RTD Tea by volume continues a 5-year slide. A TEAIN22 Forecast. India conducts its First Bharat Tea Auction, and DNA Disqualifies Five in the Lugu Farmers Annual Tea Contest. More in a minute, but first, this important message.
What makes a perfect cup of Ceylon tea? The perfect cup is from the tea businesses that ensure the protection of all the children living within their tea estates. We salute Kailani Valley, Telawakili, Bogawantalawa, Harana, and Elliptia tea estates. Support Save the Children, Sri Lanka.
RTD Tea by volume continues a 5-year slide. This is the third of a dozen TEAIN22 forecasts for the new year. In 2016, a decade of steadily increasing U.S. sales of ready-to-drink tea crested at 1 billion cases. The subsequent 5-year descent accelerated as convenience and food service closures continued in 2021, according to Beverage Digest. Volume in 2020 declined to 948 million 192-ounce cases from its 2016 high. Yet RTD tea sales by value grew 8.2% in multi-channel outlets, according to Spin's market research. Premium teas and refrigerated tea sold in large quantities for home consumption account for gains as sales of commodity teas, including Lipton Pure Leaf, fell 21% by value, with unit sales down 24% during the pandemic. Lipton has since recovered, generating $910 million in the 52 weeks ending mid-year, according to Chicago-based market research firm IRI. As the panic recedes, it is unclear there will be an upward surge in volume, with market leaders like Honest Tea still recovering after declines of 20.4%. Much like carbonated soft beverages, the tea segment's modest unit growth of 3% was offset by increased prices, but selling fewer units is always a big concern. The decline in volume cannot be attributed to the format. Sales of ready-to-drink hard tea and seltzers and cocktails in cans and bottles are at record highs. Canned coffee's doing great. RTD soared 62.3% by volume in 2020, led by hard seltzers, which skyrocketed by 130%, according to the spirits business. Hard seltzers represent 57% of the total alcoholic RTD category in the U.S., followed by flavored alcoholic beverages, which have a 26% share, and RTD cocktails and long drinks, which have a 7% share, according to IWSR Drinks market analysis. Challengers like caffeinated yerba mate, Coca-Cola introduced Honest Yerba Mate in May, and non-caffeinated herbals, including hibiscus, rooibos, and botanicals, call for tea innovations that are more evident in RTD than in packaged teas. Cold brew tea, sparkling tea, nitro-infused tea, and ready-to-drink functional and adaptogenic teas all point to a bright future. Forecast. Expect continued declines in volume so long as the majority of RTD teas contain too many ingredients, are too sweet, and are too often reconstituted from powder and concentrates instead of fresh brewed. Cold brewed tea has great potential. Sparkling tea, unsweetened and juice-sweetened teas, and teas blended with botanical extracts will make significant inroads. Wellness blends, adaptogenic, and functional teas with clean labels now define premium. Nitrogen-infused teas that pour like craft beer are on trend. Quality tea concentrates and refrigerated iced teas sold by the gallon for home meals will also expand beyond basic black tea. Tea sale number 1 at Kochi in South India opened the year with a new model called the Bharat Tea Auction, which is based on a format widely used in Japan. The auction was well attended by major blenders, indicating strong demand and led to the sale of 56% of tea on offer. Prices were up by an average 5 rupees per kilo to 134 rupees compared to the previous week. New auction rules change the bidding logic and the reserve price, make the entire bid history visible, and introduce price rediscovery. To participate in the auction, bidders must indicate their interest in a lot before it becomes active. Reserve prices are dynamic and can be altered up to 15 minutes before the auction begins. Response during pilot auctions in 2021 was less than enthusiastic, but the Tea Board of India ignored critics and rolled out the new model. The reaction Tuesday was mixed, with buyers expressing concern and sellers praising the switch. Media reports indicate that the Tea Board expects the new model to solve backlogs, resulting in better prices. Tea Board South Director M. Balaji told the Business Line, quote, "We foresee price and demand stabilization in the months to come," end quote. Elite competitions in Taiwan group tea by cultivar and restrict competitors to geographically unique locales. In December, 5 competitors in the prestigious Lugu Farmers Association annual event were disqualified following DNA sequencing that revealed the teas were imposters. This according to the Chinese language publication Liberty Times. Sequencing showed 2 entries supposedly from Nantou County and 3 other teas that were found to have been cultivated overseas. The samples were destroyed, and the perpetrators warned that they risked permanent disqualification and possible prosecution for fraud if they tried again. The Lugu competition is the oldest in Taiwan. Winners of the top prize sell for more than $10,000 for 600 grams, a unit of measure known as the Taiwan Caddy. A Dong Ding, translated as top of the hill tea, competition grade roasted oolong by Taiwan Sourcing, sells for $108 US for 150 grams. A bargain given that teas that earn the designation premium sell for $15 per gram or $15,000 per kilo. The competition, which began in 1976 with 300 entries, attracted 5,025 competitors in 2021. Many participants are less well known than the collegial group that initiated the competition, leading organizers to suspect some entities might not meet strict qualifications for cultivar geography and traditional processing. Business Insight. Legendary taster Xuandu Wu supervised the first Lugu Dongding competition. That year, he was asked to break a tie when judges insisted that only one tea should prevail. Tasting blind, he determined the two finalists deserved equal acclaim and awarded a first prize to each. Later, it was discovered that the teas were identical and had been submitted by two brothers under different names to determine whether the competition was legitimate. The foundation for judging excellence remains rock solid to this day. Win tea for a year. In celebration of Hot Tea Month, the Tea and Herbal Association of Canada will give 3 winners enough tea to last the year. To enter, post a photo and description on social media with the hashtag #MeAndMyTea2022, explaining why you drink tea. The competition, open to anyone in Canada, ends January 31st, 2022. Visit the Tea Biz blog or the Tea and Herbal Association of Canada website for details. Arvinda and Theraman in Bengaluru reports on this week's tea auction prices.
India Tea Price Report for the week ending December 31st, 2021. While data for December 2021 is not yet available to show consolidated production for 2021, reports indicate a projected decrease of 40 million kilos as compared with 2019. Prices for 2021 have also been lower than 2020 but higher than 2019, which is used as the real comparison year. The drop in production has impacted prices positively. 2021 saw 2 major problems, a decline in exports and an increase in cheap imports. Tea Board data indicates that exports for the period January to September dropped by nearly 10%. However, the unit price of exports increased by nearly 15% to Rs 272.86 paise a kilo during the same period. Import of tea decreased by 34% compared with 2020 and by 50% compared with 2019. It's hoped that in 2022, quality and therefore prices will come into focus and exports will resume even as domestic consumption increases. South India opens Sale 1 of 2022 with a new auction model, now named the Bharat Auction. 2021 ended with sales 51 and 52 seeing good demand in auctions in North India. In the South, Kochi and Kannur saw good demand for CTC Leaf in Sale 51. CTC Dust sold well across the South. There was no Sale 52 in South India.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Q-Trade understands that a successful tea blend goes beyond the creative fusion of appearance, aroma, and flavor. Our multi-award-winning product development team is passionate about converting natural ingredients into sensory experiences that customers crave. Every recipe is formulated with a commercial backbone of dependable quality sourcing with a pricing structure that supports a safe, regulated, profitable, and scalable blend. Q-Trade meets every brand's retail, food service, and e-commerce need. For more information, visit our website, qtradeteas.com.
This week, T-Biz travels to Harvard University in Boston, Massachusetts to discuss the medicinal powers of tea with Dr. Nada Milosavljevic. Nada will deliver the keynote address on food as medicine at the 7th Global Tea Initiative Colloquium on January 13th, an all-day online event hosted by the University of California, Davis.
The Global Tea Initiative keynote speaker is Dr. Nada Milosavljevic, a Harvard-trained physician and faculty member at Harvard Medical School. Dr. Nada was also the founder of the Integrative Health Program at Massachusetts General Hospital and worked for a decade as its director. Her passion for holistic, innovative wellness and preventative healthcare led Dr. Nada to found Sage Tonic, which produces teas and tisanes formulated from evidence-based clinical studies. Dr. Nada joins us on TeaBiz today to give us a preview of what we can expect in her Global Tea Initiative keynote address. Your keynote at the Global Tea Initiative Colloquium on January 13th will address trends of seeing food, including tea, as medicine. Can you give our listeners a preview of what you'll be covering in your talk?
My topic is the popularization of food as medicine, but also looking at that through the lens of tea. And everyone at one point has heard of the concept of food as medicine. It's become quite popular, but really to give some of the historical underpinnings that idea has been around for millennia in many different ways, many different cultures. But now with modern medicine, we're really seeing some of the ways that food, and tea is no exception, that it can have certain health applications. So to really highlight that, further define it so people can really appreciate where that field is going, because it's growing and it's growing rapidly.
Dr. Nada, the teas you sell through Sage Tonic are categorized by their benefits. For example, helping with relaxation, sleep, energy, and focus. At what point in your medical profession did you discover the benefits of tea and begin to research the role tea plays in preventative healthcare?
That journey for me began almost 14 years ago. It was about 2007, and in working with patients, and they ranged in age from teens to young adults to adults. And I realized that many of the medications that we use, which are beneficial, they can save lives, but some of them have certain side effects. And I found out that there were a number of natural compounds that can play a role, tea being one, as a preventive or as something that can be used as an adjunctive therapy and serve a healthful purpose. And that's really where a lot of my research began, looking into not just tea, but other herbs as well, and the synergistic or additive effect they can have for optimal health. And certainly from a preventive standpoint, if someone really wants to start using something even earlier to put themselves on a healthy trajectory.
And in that research you've conducted into the benefits of tea, herbs, and spices, did any results surprise you?
Yes, they did, in fact. There were a number of herbs and certainly a number of compounds in tea that were not elucidated to me previously as to what their health benefits were. And to see that they could play a role in human health, they could play a role in preventive health, they could play a role for humans at many different chronologic points throughout our lives. So beneficial in a host of different ways. And particular to tea, what was exciting to me is certainly even back then, so this was over 14 years ago, some of the health benefits, but to see how that has grown, because there are literally hundreds of compounds in teas, and even compounds that at this point have yet to be fully researched and categorized. So I think there's a lot of other exciting things to come as well.
Could you give us an example of one of the herbs and spices that you discovered or you, through your research, learned some of the benefits of?
In addition to tea, another herb class actually called adaptogens, and that's going to be one of the things that I'll be talking about at the conference next week. And it's an herb class that can really play a role in anxiety and stress reduction, having a constitutionally normalizing effect on the body, even be helpful with focus, with sleep, many of the things that a lot of us have faced in many different ways, given what we've all been dealing with the last almost 2 years now with the pandemic. So certainly that herb class was something I was not as familiar with back then, and they do have a wonderful application for health.
You can hear more from Dr. Nada on the power of tea as medicine in her keynote address at the Global Tea Initiative Colloquium, online on January 13th. To learn more and find out how to register, visit the TeaBiz website, tea-biz.com. and click on the article about Dr. Nada.
Intrigued by what you heard in today's podcast? Would you like to learn more from our global network of tea biz journalists and tea experts? Remember to visit the Tea Biz website for more comprehensive coverage. That's www.tea-biz.com. Thanks for listening. Farewell till next week.